We're both up.
All right. Well, as Bill said, he was shy. And I looked down from the top of the band because I was percussionist in the band. And I looked down and I could sit and just watch this good looking guy who was next to the conductor at playing the flute. And of course, Bill was good looking, still is, but was good looking. And I decided I really liked him, but he was shy, so I had to put in a few words, I guess.
Tell me a little bit more about your reaction to Bill, your feelings about Bill. I mean, as you saw him as a young man, okay, you said he was nice looking. And, he's kind of in the band, but what more can you tell me about how did it feel to talk with him? How did it feel to look at him? How did it feel to interact with him? What was inside of you at that point?
Well, I really liked his personality. It was not the outgoing one, and he didn't like to dance, which I was disappointed in, but he was cool, and therefore I really liked him. I'd had a couple of boyfriends before Bill at age 15, but they weren't anything like him, and he was cool. I was not a good band player because I played the glockenspiel, and to play the glockenspiel you have to sit and count to 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 75, 2, 3, 4, etc. And I didn't do that. I was sitting there and talking with a friend who was also a percussion player. So when the time came for me to go bong, the conductor was Ardith, and I got in trouble all the time. And of course, Bill was the kind of person who would do exactly what he was supposed to do. So I figured he probably didn't like me because I was a bad kid. I just wouldn't do what I was supposed to do, but I don't know, I guess he didn't bother him too much. And we had to go out and play at football games, and I didn't care about football, but it was fun to go out and in uniform and play in the band, and we had some interaction with that as well. When his parents, I was invited to his home for dinners because I guess they knew he liked me and I offered to help. So I was invited to his home for dinners, but I could not understand why we weren't talking because I was babble away and the rest of the family would be very quiet while his father was there. But then his father would leave and go in the office and everybody would talk. So his father was I don't know, someone who the family didn't react well to. Now, whether I think he knew that and didn't like it, but it was the way it was. Because my family would do a lot of chatting around the table at dinner time, so that was different. My reaction to Bill was, well, I fell in love with him during high school. And during college, it was tough because he was so torn up by the fact that his mother was so sick. College was good for both of us.
You was in different colleges?
Yeah, we went to different colleges, and I just would come home on the weekend and see
What
him.
did your mom and your dad have to say about Bill?
Oh, they loved him. He was a good kid. He was good. He was handsome. He was gonna be a doctor. My parents were thrilled with him. Thought he was really.
What were your impressions of, and this will be edited, what were your impressions of his dad?
Of what?
His father?
His father?
Yeah. Your personal impressions.
I was okay with him. I didn't know at the time, most of the time, I didn't know that they weren't fond of me and that, and I'm not sure your mother wasn't fond of me, but.
It's different than thinking I shouldn't marry you, whether they liked you or not. They thought you were below me.
Yeah. I was definitely below this doctor's family with my blue collar family. My father really went pretty far for his education level.
Tell me about your mom and your dad.
Well, my father was not educated, but he was a smart guy.
Mm-hmm.
He was pretty intelligent. I think if he'd had the opportunity to go to school, he probably would have. But he also had a problem, and I think this is probably one of those instances where genes played a role. He had an alcohol problem, and my brother had the same alcohol problem, which leads me to think it was probably genes. But my mother was good-hearted, really good-hearted, but not nearly as smart.
Was she a good cook?
Yeah. Well, people thought she was a good cook. Later on,
She cooked an awful lot.
she cooked a lot, and she cooked for the church. She was the head cook in the kitchen of the church, and church was a big deal for me growing up.
What kind of church
it was
was
a
it?
social
What
deal.
kind of church was it?
Yeah.
What religion?
United Church of Christ, so it was
Okay.
like congregational, Presbyterian type
Yeah.
church. It was, I grew up in the church, and they were devoted to the church, so it was important for me growing up. I sang in the choir, of course.
Well, to a certain extent, wouldn't it? It could be true that you and Bill shared the fact that the father, at least, wasn't totally accepting of either one of you. I mean, actually, you shared that. He
Yeah.
felt that way, and you did too.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you kind of shared that.
When we talked about it, and we did,
Mm-hmm.
Especially into college, I realized that what was going on at home, and the fact that he was not a warm, loving person. He was warm and loving to his patients.
Or he was warm and loving in a way that people had trouble reading as warm and loving. It could have been that.
Well, yeah, he just, his family didn't see that side of him, but his patients saw that side of him.
Mm-hmm.
His patients.
So it was there. It was there.
Yeah,
The
probably
love for
was
people
there.
was there.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I felt badly because he couldn't express anything to Bill, and Bill was feeling that, and it was really, really too bad, because he couldn't tell Bill how wonderful he was, and I wanted him to be able to do that.
Ideal son, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hardworking, intelligent, respectful.
Yeah.
Liked, hard worker, focused, good future.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything.
Yeah, actually, I was the one that my friend's parents wanted to be in charge whenever I was playing or out with them, because I was the adult-like child.
The good person. Yeah.
I was the one they could trust not to
Did
do
you?
crazy stuff.
So you'd kind of be in charge when shenanigans could happen?
Sort of. There
Kind
was some parents just told me they expected me to. They felt comfortable knowing their son Carter was. Told me felt comfortable knowing that Carter was out with me because I wouldn't let him do anything crazy. So yeah, I kind of had that reputation. So I was tightly wound in that way, I guess. And
Well, and part of that was trying to be a good kid so your father would like you, so your father
maybe
would be happy with you.
I did feel some displeasure from my father in two areas. One, he told me that he used to play sandlot baseball, and I didn't like baseball. So a couple of times we played catch. I didn't like it, and didn't really ask him to do it again. And I think I just felt waves of disapproval. He never said anything, he was just sort of disappointed. My father had always wanted to be in the military during World War II, when everybody was signing up, and he applied, I think, at least twice, and was rejected because he'd had rheumatic fever as a child and had a mitral valve murmur, and they wouldn't take him. That's all different now. They'll take you, if you can practice medicine anywhere, you can practice in the military and they'll take you with that stuff. But he was rejected for that. But in college, I was in Reserve Officer Training Corps, ROTC, and could have gone into the military out of college at a lieutenant rank. And I had no interest in the military. I mean, that time in ROTC taught me this isn't for me. And I think that was a disappointment. And there
I'm
were
going
other
to,
disappointments to come later.
I'm going to shut the systems down here.